Today we're going to be talking about a deck that's pretty well established currently here on the ladder. We're talking about this Teamer mid-range deck that also splashes a little bit of reanimation. But hopefully our deck here looks a lot different because we're going to be leaning a little bit heavier into that reanimation side of things. We of course are talking about the Cruelty of Gix. If you guys don't know, it's a saga card, and you can do a lot of things with this thing. We can hit our opponent's hand, we can pull cards from our deck into our hand of choice, and we can go ahead and reanimate something. It's one of the very few sagas where every single chapter is absolutely busted. Of course, we're going to be reanimating some of my favorite cards: Consuming Blob, Titan of Industry, Toxrill. We've got the whole gambit here. All of these cards can close the game very quickly, and obviously Consuming Blob, one of my favorite cards to use that not a lot of people give a lot of credit to, but it can get out of hand pretty quickly. We've also got a pretty strange sweeper of choice, you might think, in this deck. Drag to the bottom. I know we're not a 5-color deck, but even being a 3-color deck with only one, Triome down on the battlefield, this is a 4 mana minus 4/4 to everything, which is actually still really good. So it's why we chose this as a sweeper of choice. It's a bit of an experiment, but let me know what you guys think. And our last little thing I wanted to talk about was the Fable, the Mirror Breaker, tied with the Soul Transfer. Soul Transfer obviously exiles, creatures and planeswalkers, or brings things back from the graveyard, but we can actually trigger both, which we're going to be doing pretty often because Fable is the enchantment, and then of course it creates these treasure tokens, allowing us to do both sides of the coin. So there's a lot of value to be had in that card and that combo, but a lot of synergies. Really fun deck. I hope you guys enjoy it. We are going to break the deck down in full, of course, at the end of today's video, so stick around for that. In the meantime, down below there's a link for the full deck list, and if you guys enjoy content just like this, if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe, like, all that good stuff, it helps a ton and I would greatly appreciate it. But with that being said, guys, enjoy today's video. Peace. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be playing a JUND deck. We have some work to do because I did drop down to the bottom of Diamond again, messing around, but this is going to be the deck to get us there, I think. Get us going here on the ladder, because I've seen JUND around quite a bit here lately, and wanted to try it myself because I thought it was a very powerful tactic of getting the Cruelty of Gix down and doing what you can do with that and reanimating creatures. But we're going to be doing it slightly different. We have some other great creatures we can reanimate aside from the Titan, like Toxrill, and then also they have things like Drag to the Bottom, which is a great sweeper right now. It's a good enough sweeper to kind of take over for the meat hook for a little while, especially in these types of 3-color decks, because these Triomes hit the battlefield just like so, and now the Drag to the Bottom, it's a sweeper for minus 4/4, which is very, very good if we need it. So, which we will, because the opponent is clearly on mono red, and we go second, which two very bad things happening here against mono red, going second. Would love to see other cheap interaction here off the top of our deck, but not gonna find it. Just find another land. Not a terrible thing. We do get the Fable down next turn, which does provide us a blocker, but the Firebrand just, whenever it attacks target creature defending player controls power less than this, can't block this turn. So yeah, we're in trouble. Taking a lot of damage here. Okay, that's actually very good. A little bit better than the Fable, because the 2/2 wouldn't have been able to block. So let's at least get one of these creatures out of the way here.
Off you go.
And hopefully that's enough of a threat there to have them, turn their attention to the Liliana. Well, I guess that'll do the trick, won't it? All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're going to drag to the bottom, clear up the board, and we're gonna go down to what, 7 damage, 7 life, and then we have some spot removal after this, and hopefully get the Titan down sooner than later. That would be great. All right, let's get the sweeper going. Boom, takes care of the problems on board. Now they're just top decking, so if they can hit a couple lands here, that would be fantastic. That is not a land. That is not a land. All right, that is a land. I'm glad we found that. Now is, gosh darn it, I really want to get this going, but if I take a turn off here to play the Fable, we're not going to be able to deal with the Chandra, which can end up drawing them some cards. So I'm gonna have to exile this, unfortunately. Again, just hoping we can continue to hit these land drops to work our way up to the Titan to gain that life back. There we go, we do hit the land. Beautiful. Okay, nice. Fable down. I'm assuming that's a land, but they are actually getting a priority hold here. That might be a play with fire or some sort of burn effect. They might be holding on to it for the last second here to just to do that and then throw another one at my face, maybe. All right, that's good. It looks like we're gonna get the Titan down into play here. So drag to the bottom can go. Actually, Liliana can stay, even though the Inferno is an instant speed removal spell. Of course, we hit the Cruelty of Gix. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're still gonna get the Titan down though, so that's good. And they still have some interaction here. I've got to imagine it's just a lightning strike here because they're trying to just throw it at my face to win the game. But they're just short by 1, so they're not going to be able to pull it off here, especially now that we're going to gain 5 life. Gaining 5 life, and we're throwing a 4/4 body at him as well. So this should be pretty good. Yep, they had the lightning strike. I think they had it for a couple turns there. I think the idea was they were holding on to it so they could surprise me and just bang bang right at the face. So we did take that down, and Mono Red gets a little bit of a butt kicking. Let's go. Ever since we lost Meat Hook Massacre and the Colors of Black, I've been seeing a lot more Mono Red, obviously, and a lot more Mono White. They just, you know, coming out of the woodworks because they're not as scared to play those types of decks anymore. But I'm telling you guys, this drag to the bottom, so clutch. Opponent goes first. Hopefully we find that third land drop, preferably a red source. You never know though. Keeping a 2-land hand is always dangerous, but I've really upped my lands to 26 recently. I've just been getting a lot of games where, you know, the mana's not quite, you know, working out for you, and you're drawing into your fourth consuming blob before you hit your 3rd land. And I'm gonna try to beat the shuffler at his own game by running too many lands, in my opinion. All right, we're in the Colors of Bant. All right, that's a good target for the soul transfer. Because with this on the battlefield, we can't actually reanimate anything. It kind of shuts everything down because you can't target the creatures in your land, or in your graveyard, sorry. All right, simple soul transfer though takes care of that. Opponent down to 4 cards in hand. They must have taken a mulligan or 2 at some point in this game. They're running out of juice pretty fast. I still have Liliana too, so if they want to play out another big creature, I can go ahead and answer it very cleanly. And we do find our Triome, which is fantastic. Counter magic, maybe? There could be some counter spells here. Make Disappear comes to mind. No. Nothing from the opponent, which means they are going to be discarding a card. My question becomes, do I discard a Consuming Blob to reanimate later, or do I maybe bank on getting another creature into the graveyard? I'm going to go ahead and drop the Fable. I think I'd rather keep the Consuming Blob because I can play it straight up next turn. You know what I mean? All right, so the opponent's trying to mill themselves as well. Maybe doing some reanimation stuff. I don't know. But then you wouldn't be running this card for reanimation. I don't know exactly what they're up to, but they do get down a Wandering Emperor.
Remember your training. Watch it.
Catilda, huh? Ooh, a Toxrill in hand. It would have been really great to get down this turn, but unfortunately, we didn't hit a land. Ah, gosh darn it. What are we going to do here? All right, first off, we definitely are going to pull one of these. Get this into the yard.
We all have things we'd rather forget.
Interesting. I guess we go with Fable of the Mirror Breaker here. It is a decent blocker for the Catilda at least, but good chance we're losing Liliana here, which is fine. Again, if I can Cruelty of Gix here and just go straight to level 3 and start just killing their creatures.
We've got the edge in this fight.
All right, no blocks. We'll take it. Excuse me, man. My throat is a little phlegmy. I don't know what's going on, but Liliana. Yeah, I don't think I need the Liliana right now. Guess I needed it more than that though. All right, here we go. Toxrill, come on down. Come on down. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have anything for this. Obviously, this would be pretty darn bad. Hopefully we can get around that though. All right, that's fine. That is totally fine. So they're gonna lose their Catilda. They're gonna lose their 2/2 by the next rotation around, and we can, you know, happily attack into the opponent's Wandering Emperor here. So let's do that, and let's do it with both of these. We don't really care if we lose the 2/2 to a couple of double blocks. That's not a big problem for us, honestly. All right, couple blocks, boom, boom. And here's where things are going to get a little out of hand for the opponent here. Obviously, that the opponent does have access to white, which means depopulate is a definite option, but I highly doubt it. I'm guessing it's not going to be depopulate based on what I've been seeing here. You never know, though. You never know. There goes Toxrill, though. Fair enough. Fair enough. Getting back a Liliana seems pretty cool. 1, 2, and then 1, 1. Yeah, we can play it right away. Ah, we can't get back Liliana. What am I saying? This is fine though. This is actually probably better. This is probably better. Let's see. Let's copy you because I want the treasures. And we go boom, boom. Boom. Yeah, I'll do it like so. Yeah, I think that's fine. Sorry, my brain was going a little haywire there for a second, trying to figure out how I wanted to do this. I forgot we couldn't bring back Liliana. Jukai Visionary isn't able to pull back Planeswalkers. All right, but we do have an enchantment now, and we do have an artifact. So this is actually going to be able to trigger both sides of the coin, and it can get back our Liliana. So we'll do it that way. That's on me. That's on me. And now we've got a consuming a blob just popping off right now, which, by the way, Reflection of Kiki-Jiki mixed with consuming blob, pretty silly. Pretty silly. All right. And boom, boom. We swing in with all here, and if we don't have them dead, we don't. We're going to get 2 extra blobs instead of 1. So here they come. Boom, boom. And we have an Inferno. So whatever they play out this turn, the Inferno pretty much kills. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You get 2 threats on the battlefield, but that's still not enough. I don't care what it is. If it's 2 Planeswalkers or not, they're pretty much toast here. So, oh, that would have been so good, guys. You know what we were about to do right there? Let me explain what was just about to happen to the opponent there. So the Inferno was going to blow up the 1/1 Catilda, and we were going to actually be able to kill the enchantment at the same time and pull back our blob on our side. So that would have been crazy. They should really consider running blob in their own deck. I mean, look how powerful it is in their deck because of how many things they have in their graveyard. That's pretty interesting. But anyways, yeah, on to the next one. Yeah, that was a little sloppy on my part. Gotta reread Shigeki and make sure we got that figured out, because again, trying to pull back that Liliana didn't work. It actually worked out in our favor though, because again, pulling back that soul transfer and you know, remembering that we could use both sides of the coin because we had those treasures was really, really nice. Opening hand here, not great. Going second too. This is much better. Cruelty of Gix probably gonna go. Actually, Fable can go because we don't have any red. Obviously, Shigeki could get us red, but Shigeki gets dealt with almost 9 times out of 10 when I go second. If I go first, Shigeki usually gets at least 1 turn cycle, but going second, it almost never survives. Drag to the bottom. Back to the bottom could be pretty good. I do need Liliana to hit this because it's going to get very big and it's going to be really hard to deal with. Obviously, they get it back, though. Okay. That's interesting. Another Shigeki, huh? I actually think I'm just going to pass the turn, block, and then pull Shigeki back from the battlefield to get that land. If I can find, you know, a land and fill up the graveyard with some stuff. Preferably even a Triome would be fantastic so I can drag to the bottom this board. All right, here we go. These are going to get bigger now. Yeah, so we definitely need to hit a land for this drag to the bottom. Otherwise, these commies will get a little too big for us to deal with. All right, well, I can't block and pull this back because they have trample, so it's going to get through anyways, and this has flying, so it does not matter. We're going to take all the damage, unfortunately. We do find another land, though. Beautiful. The things we put into the graveyard there weren't ideal, though. All right, so for right now, we drag to the bottom. It deals with the board state currently, but they do get those commies back once these enchantments start going to the graveyard. All right, that's good. That's really good. There's nothing really happening for the next turn or so. Now, is it when they go to the graveyard at the beginning of your end step, if an enchantment was put into the graveyard, that's pretty bad because, you know, Liliana being able to plus could get them back those creatures. So I think I'm going to actually Cruelty of Gix here. Level 1. Let's see what's in their hand. Okay, they scoop up. I don't know why they scooped there. They actually had a really decent hand. They could have borrowed timed the Cruelty of Gix and not allowed us to get any further use out of that. These were going to come in as creatures. Obviously, we had Drag to the bottom again, but we had no real great way of dealing with the commies. We had Soul Transfer for when they come back, but by then they've already come back and they've gotten value. So I see why they were upset and quit, but I still think they had a playable hand here. So anyways, GG. So far so good. I knew this deck would be pretty solid. Again, I've been playing this one whenever I get into trouble and, like, you know, fall back down at the bottom of the ladder. So I was like, you know what? I know everyone's playing it right now, and I wasn't too excited to showcase another Jund deck because a lot of people, again, running it. But if I'm going to be playing again to try to get my rank up with this Jund deck, we might as well showcase it because I do think it's pretty powerful, and I think a lot of people will get some use out of it. So, Fading Hope. Awesome. All right, so the opponent clearly is on mono blue, and they are running Fading Hope. We got to keep that in mind. All right, so how do we get around this nonsense of Fading Hope, huh? I think, do we attack with this over and over until they play something, or do we utilize its ability to fill up the graveyard and whatnot? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we need the mana right now, so let's just attack. Yep, consider. All right, so they threw away a Make Disappear, which is pretty interesting. Not something I would have thrown away. They might be full of counter spells in hand then and may not need it. No third land drop from the opponent here, huh? Wow, that's it's kind of a big deal. That's kind of a big deal. I say we just keep hitting them with the Shigeki. Obviously, the Shigeki is not going to win us the game by beating them down. It's going to take 20 turns to do so. So that's not going to be the win con here. So at some point, we are going to have to pull the trigger on something else. But I am afraid, obviously, of the opponent just countering everything we do. So we got to be very careful about how we do this. You know what? This actually might be a good opportunity. We could go for this, and it's probably going to get countered. And if it does, that's fine. We want to make sure that our Invoke Despair can go off. Obviously, that requires us to hit a black source. So it's a little scary, but you know what? I think it's a necessary try. You know, we got to try. We missed it. Darn it. Soul Transfer it is. That's unfortunate. So close. We do get a land, just exactly the opposite land that we needed. All right, well, we get this down, which does allow the Invoke Despair as a potential play, but now we get countered probably if we try to use it, so that's a bummer. Come on, Shigeki. Counter spell. No counter spell. Okay, so we now officially have another body we can attack with, but again, they have the Fading Hope. I would imagine that's coming down on the token. We'll see. We'll see. But it's gonna allow us to really pump some mana into this this game here. I do like that the opponent only has 2 mana. I mean, it's making this a lot easier for us to navigate through, but mono blue is just an absolute nightmare matchup for anybody. It's just such a hard deck to work around because you really got to know what to expect in the opponent's hand and what sort of things are going to come. All right, this is pretty good. If I attack in here, hold on. So if I go, let's see, black, black, green. We have black, 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 green. Not enough to do this. All right, it is what it is. Let's just let's keep attacking here. Ah, you made a mistake. They allow me not only to get the treasure, but they also tap out here. So now the Invoke Despair is good to go. My apologies, guys. It's just a whole sinus thing going on here. All right, we get to draw a bunch of cards and take care of the Delver, so that's really nice. By the way, Soul Transfer, even better than it was before, because now we have the enchantments and the artifact. This also counts as enchantments. They consider, sure. They are really struggling to find that 3rd land, aren't they? Just not there. It's just not there. They say hello? Oh, because they're looking for that land? Okay. Yeah, that's a bummer. Let's go ahead and see what's in your hand here, yeah? Couple of JUNDs. I would imagine, yeah. Yeah, they were not having fun there, man. I don't blame them. I mean, it is never fun not to get your 3rd land drop, but it is what it is, man. It happens, unfortunately, to all of us. Yeah, I mean, the mana problems can be absolutely rage-inducing. I don't blame the opponent for that at all, for being upset. After today's video, I'm not sure what's going to be tomorrow's video. I have an idea of something I do want to try that I'm really excited about, but I don't know if it's going to quite work. We're going to have to work on it a little bit after this video, but it's potentially going to be a deck that involves just mono red, but we're going to do it in a way where we run bombardment and creatures that, you know, work off of burn mechanics. I think that'll be a lot of fun. All right, I'm more than happy to actually trade the Shigeki here with the adversary because we are clearly up against mono white and we have a lot of spot removal with a nice curve. So if we can trade with this and then trade with the next creature with this, the next creature with this, we can kind of work our way up to bigger and better things and hopefully outvalue them. And they don't want to do that. They didn't want to do it. And now we get a Fable down instead, which is even better. No attacks. Oh, they're Selesnya. Thought they might be mono white, but no. They're Selesnya, which means that they needed that green source off the top and they got it. So unlike our last opponent actually getting the card they needed there. All right. None of these are enchantment creatures. Trying to get cheeky with this, but they are not enchantment creatures. So That's not going to work out. I think actually I'm just going to go with this again. Yeah, I mean, we got plenty of blockers here. And if we can just drop this again and then hopefully hit like a Cruelty of Gix for this Titan, that'd be fantastic. So I think that's the move here. Rite of Harmony. Uh-oh. That means it's going to be an enchantment creature, huh? No, it's a Defiler, huh? And this one says whenever you cast a white permanent, create a 1/1. Okay, so now we're looking for drag to the bottom. No chance that. Okay, that's not really. That's really bad. They're taking a lot of damage for these things, though. That's a pretty nice combination they have there, though. We do find our drag to the bottom, so the opponent in a little bit of a trouble situation now. I would imagine we'll hit another land, but do I want to take the risk on that? Probably not, right? All right, I think first things first, we actually blow this up. I think we blow that up. And then we'll look to drag to the bottom next turn. Or right now. Maybe right now. Yeah, we'd still be left with Shigeki, so I actually think that's not a bad idea. I think that's not a bad idea. Oh, I can't drag to the bottom. What am I saying? Soul transfer. Yeah, we're gonna soul transfer actually. Boom, boom. Let's get back to Titan. All right, that works out. That works out. I don't know why I thought I could soul transfer there. I thought that was gonna be 4 mana. I don't know why I didn't count obviously correctly. A Rite of Harmony is quite a scary card. It drew them a ton of cards that last turn with the Defiler. What a really cool combination they had there, though. I've never seen anybody do that. Getting the Defiler down and then just spamming a bunch of 1-drops to get a ton of card advantage at the same time, you know, filling your board with just a crazy amount of creature value. Again, Soul Transfer comes through in a pinch where I thought I could play one card and it turns out I had to use another. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do have 7 mana next turn if I can get one of these to attack, and I got the Titan. So yeah, they didn't want to see any more of that. I don't blame them. I'm playing sloppy, guys. I'm very well aware that I'm playing sloppy. It's my fault. I just woke up like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago. So trying to work out the kinks, but on to the next one. All right, this one should tier us up to the next point of the ladder, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, let's get it. Oh, this opening hand's not bad. I finally get to go first. It feels like I've gone second a lot today. I don't know. Maybe not. I'd have to go back and look, but I feel like we've gone second a lot. Maybe because when I was playtesting this yesterday, I was going second a lot against a lot of like aggro decks too, like mono red and mono white, but adding the 26 land and then the extra drag to the bottom, because I initially only had 3 of those in the deck, we've seen a lot of success. So I think we've got this thing dialed, man. This deck is very dialed. We're up against mono blue here, so this is probably going to get countered, but I do have a backup, so we do have to try to get something resolved here. If we can get it just at least one creature on the field and fully resolved, we can start that beatdown process of just forcing them into having to hopefully play out something like a Jin early and then taking care of it. We'll see. We'll see. This is not an ideal deck or an ideal matchup by any means. Obviously, the last person that we played with this deck, they were unable to find their lands, so this person already hit their third land drop. They're in a much better spot than the last opponent, that's for sure. Yep, a little negate action. Invoke Despair seems like a lot of fun, but I would need another two more black sources. The Inferno, though, being instant speed is nice. It's probably not going to resolve, though, because if they play out a Jin here, there's almost no shot. They don't have something to cover it with like a counter spell. So I would imagine that it's not going to resolve. Here comes a Thirst for Discovery. Or an Impulse. One of the two. One of the two. Yeah, if I had to say a worst possible matchup, this might be the one. Just because we work on trying to resolve decently sized spells, Titans of Industries, Cruelty of Gixes, Invoke Despairs. All these things require us to not get countered, because if they counter us with a little 2-mana spell, it's just too much value for them. But this is going to get countered. If I find another swamp off the top of the deck here, it could be very, very clutch, because they are clearly going to counter this. There's no way this resolves. And if I find a swamp, then the Invoke Despair becomes pretty viable. Unfortunate. They had another counter spell anyways. Yep, they did. Bummer. All right. All right, well, I mean, they only have 3 cards in hand now, so I mean, what are the odds of us getting countered still? I mean, we've seen 1, 2, 3. We've seen 4 counter spells, so there's a good chance we can resolve something here if we get the land. Nice, we do. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. Wish me luck. Wish me luck here. I do have enough to get around Make Disappear, but not another negate. Gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. Yeah, 3 negates. 2 Make Disappears. We were never even gonna have a chance here, unfortunately. Even the drag to the bottom's no good here until I find you know, a forest or a Triumph. Not good enough, unfortunately. It does, you know, with our life total being 9, there's a chance we have at least one more turn here. There's a chance. Does it resolve? It doesn't matter. Honestly, I'd rather it not resolve. The more counter spells we can get out of the opponent's hand here, the better. Because I'd rather get this removed. I think that's my priority at the moment. But if they drop a Thirst for Discovery here, we're in a lot of trouble. All right, we live to fight another day. Let's see. Okay. That has Ward 2, which means we are dead in the water, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, gosh. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're left with 1, 2, 3. Bummer. Bummer, man. Good games. Good games. We lost. That's unfortunate. Mono blue, man. Again, just a nightmare matchup, man. I'm telling you. Absolute nightmare. We were cruising along and we get derailed by mono blue. Unfortunate, but we're so close to that next tier up, so it is what it is. Darn it, man. I cannot wait till mono blue is out of the meta, but it is what it is. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. It's not that hard to play around, but most of the times the matchups that we're getting with mono blue, like these creative type of builds that I have, they're much harder to beat the opponent with when they're mono blue. It's easy to get underneath them with some aggro and stuff like that, but when you can relentlessly drop cheap interaction, they can't counter, you know, most of the time they can't be countering, you know, a ton of singletons or cheap, you know, like these Phoenix chicks, right? You drop a Phoenix chick, you drop a 2-drop, a 3-drop. The opponent's gonna have a hard time keeping up with that with all their counter spells. Eventually something leaks through and then they get the, you know, you get to put that damage on the opponent. But when you're running decks like this where, you know, we're trying to reanimate stuff and do bigger spells, it's a little harder to get through all those counter spells. But Phoenix chick on the battlefield, which means we're against, I thought it was mono red, but now we're looking at some Gruul. This goes over the top, which is a bit annoying. It's gonna be hard to deal with, and it's not something you necessarily want to kill because of how it's just a 1/1 body, you know what I mean? Kind of just a nuisance of a card here. I could hit it with that soul transfer, which wouldn't be terrible, but I think I'd rather just get the Shigeki ramp going and look to maybe Inferno. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave the chick alone for a minute, just for a minute. Could get an instant, I'm sorry, a hasty creature down here, like a Storm Chaser or something like that. Yep, Storm Seeker, sorry, that's what I meant. And we're gonna block that and pull the Shigeki back. So they attack through. We block. We pull Shigeki back. We get that ramp that we're looking for. And oh, a Titan in the yard. Let's go. That's huge. That is actually huge. Because we have the Cruelty of Gix, right? Which means the Titan can come down now. We also get a drag to the bottom. Okay, we're looking really solid right now. Do we want to just rush the Titan out? I feel like that's not a terrible idea. Not a terrible idea. Let's go. And in mono, I'm sorry, not mono red, they are Gruul. Gruul's gonna have removal that's gonna require burn or some sort of fight mechanics. So Titan of Industry is pretty safe, which is why I didn't go for the shield counter. The shield counter gets taken off just by the Phoenix chick trying to go over the top anyways. So gaining the extra 5 life seemed like the play there, because our opponent's trying to dish out damage quickly. And we're trying to not take as much damage. So makes a lot of sense to me. Our hand looks phenomenal. I don't see how they come back from this. Yeah, they're kind of screwed. That was what we call a perfect curve out for us. That was the perfect scenario, and they don't even know that we actually had a ton of removal ready to go for them as well. So I mean, let's just say they try to go wide, boom, they get taken out, and then we start spot removing from there. So GG's. That is going to conclude today's gameplay portion of the video. We are going to break the deck down and talk about it a little bit further. But before I do so, I wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who made it this far in the video. I absolutely appreciate it so very much. It helps a ton when you guys stick around. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And of course, with that being said, let's take a look at today's build, man. It was a really fun deck. What can I say? It's a fun deck. Cruelty of Gix is just a card that, I mean, how can you not have fun with this thing? You've got options on here that, there's no bad options. I mean, you got choice 1, 2, or 3. You can't go wrong with either one of those things. Reanimating something for 5 is not, the most ideal, but if you can, follow that up with, stealing your opponent's creature from their hand, or even, looking for a very specific card you may need, something like an Invoke Despair, that's just too good not to pass up on. That's why we built around this card today. And of course, I saw a lot of JUND decks floating around that did run this Cruelty of Gix package. Ours looks a little bit different though. Like I said, we lean a little bit heavier into that Reanimator package. We try to get more things into the graveyard than not, because we want to utilize things like the Consuming Blob, a card that I'm really high on, a card that, it can run away with the game pretty quickly. If this thing comes down and you can't answer it in 2 or 3 turns, you've got, a threat of 3 or 4, 5, 6 creatures on the field, which is pretty insane. And of course we had to have the Titan and the Toxtril thrown in here. Both these cards are just, heavy closers on any deck. So of course those are going to be our 2 main cards that we're looking to reanimate here. Experimentation drag to the bottom worked out pretty well for us. I like the card a lot. One thing I will say about this card is, in this particular build, it doesn't hit things like Shieldred, right? And that's pretty rare to see things with 5 toughness, but Shieldred is out there, and this does not hit it, which makes mono black a weird matchup for us when we try to sweep the board and stuff like that. Not that mono black's trying to get a lot of, not trying to go extremely wide or anything, so it may not be that big of a deal, especially because we can eliminate it with things like an Unleash Inferno and Soul Transfer. So we have answers for that. It's not that big a deal, but when you're trying to clean the board, clean the board up and you sweep the board and you're still left with like a Shieldred or something big, it's kind of tough. But still a really fun card that I think has some space here for sure. Of course, we splashed in Invoke Despair like we've already talked about. 2 of these is always nice to have to kind of close the game out. And again, if you're going to be using Cruelty of Gix, you can always go find them. We start things off though with Shigeki. Shigeki, one of my favorite type of reanimation cards these days. It used to be the old Rutstein was my go-to, but Shigeki being a 2-drop and counting as that enchantment and a creature for Consuming Blob is also really good, but also it ramps us, which is really fantastic. So I like this card a lot. It's also been super helpful to just kind of bring things back from the graveyard and then be able to replay them. I like this little synergy between Shigeki and then Soul Transfer, and then Soul Transfer get back your Shigeki from the graveyard. There's a lot of really cool little loops you can create there, which is pretty awesome. Of course, Fable had to be in this deck. It just had to. Same with Unleash the Inferno. I feel like this is a no-brainer. It's such a. I mean, this might be, in my opinion, the best removal card. I mean, for 4 mana to deal 7 damage, that alone is busted. That's got to be one of the most busted burn spells ever. But then you tie in the fact that you can eliminate an enchantment is crazy. And then Liliana made a lot of sense here because we're trying to fill up our graveyard anyways. So if we can do some hand hating to the opponent and kill some stuff, makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's the deck, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, this was a good one. It felt pretty good. And tomorrow, though, I gotta say, guys, little teaser tomorrow. I think tomorrow's deck's gonna be pretty awesome. I've only played 2 games with it so far. Won both of them. Still in the testing phase, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think you're gonna enjoy it a lot. But before I get out of here, as always, huge shout out goes to the Marty Mob. If you guys don't know, the Marty Mob is the membership program here on the channel. So I like to give these people a huge shout out and let them know how much I appreciate them, because you know they help support the channel through their monthly memberships financially, and that means the world to me. And I honestly can't thank them enough, because it really keeps the channel going. It keeps the channel alive, and it helps a ton. So yeah, man, I don't know what else to say other than how much I appreciate each and every one of you people here on the screen. So thank you for everything you do for me, honestly. And that'll conclude today's video, though. And yeah, that'll do it. We'll be back here again, of course, tomorrow for our last video of the week. And then we'll be back again on Monday. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. And until next time, peace out.
Hit him 3 times like a hat trick. The name is Swayze, no Patrick. If you play him, then it's tragic. Hit him with the mythic, yeah, that's magic. Yeah, MTG, that's what you'll see if you like and subscribe. Where's the upload, man? Man, all of the time. Coming with the best decks, this is the meta. This ain't cheap.